All right, more rules. I know this exponential chapter has a lot of rules, but hopefully we can start to make them make sense as opposed to just make them rules, and find ways of testing if a rule is true or not, so that if you get confused, you can always try some numbers and figure out, is this rule true or not? All right, so looking at this, is the square root of a fraction. What do we do with that? Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say A has to be true because the square root of A over B has to be the square root of A over B. So that's definitely true. But the question is, does anything else work? Again, I'm going to pick perfect squares to make my life easy. So maybe I pick little a to be 64 and little b to be 81. All right, so is B true? Is the square root of 64 over 81. What's that the same as? So let's type it in the calculator. It's very easy to see. Sorry about this. Let's see if maybe I can adjust the head so you can see it better. Turn my lamp off. Nope. All right. So if I take the square root of the quantity 64 over 81, I get 0.88888888, which I believe is the same as 8 over 9. Yep, because I get the same thing. So 8 over 9. 8 over 9. So I'm seeking square root of, let's see, that's 64 over 81, which I'm trying to figure out is 8 over 9. So what's the relationship between 64, 81, and 8 and 9? Well, let's see. Is this the same as the square root of 64 over the square root of 81? Well, the square root of 64 is 8. Square root of 81 is 9. So that is 8 over 9. So that is, in fact, the same. So B works as well. What about C? Is that the same as 64 over 81? Well, let's try it. 64 over 81. When I type it in the calculator, I get 0.7901, which is not the same as 0.88888. So it is not C. What about when I reciprocate it, when I flip it? Is 81 over 64 the same as 0.88888? Well, hopefully you could look at that and say there's no way because 81 is bigger than 64, so 64 goes into 81 certainly more than 0.88888 times, more than one time. And when you type it in, you get 1.27. So definitely not D. So the solution is B. The square root of a quotient of a division problem is equal to the square root of the numerator divided by the square root of the denominator. The square root of the quotient is the quotient of the square roots.